Welcome back. You're watching One-on-One. We're talking with the former Miss World and Bollywood star, Priyanka Chopra. That grooming that you have to go through for the Indian pageants, it's tough, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say it's boot camp, but it has incredibly contributed to who I am as a person today. I mean, from a rebellious teen who didn't even know how to probably walk in heels, I am who I am today, which is a pretty different picture, trust me.
And it was amazing because of that year, yourself, Lara Datta, Dia Mirza, 3 Indian winners. And actually, there's been a whole string, and people wonder, this is an amazing thing. India seems to have a great record with Miss World and Miss Universe.
It's been a while. It's been about 8 years and it hasn't happened again, and we're hoping it would happen soon with India. I mean, we've had a great track record. We had Rita Faria, of course.
Yeah, back in 67, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. It was probably one of the first few years of Miss World. And then we had Sushmita Aishwarya, we had Diana, we had Yukta Mukhi, we had Lara Media, and all that in the span of 10 years. It was great. It was really difficult for people to digest it, that wow, India is coming out with so many international winners, and after that there was just like a stop.
There was also a lot of reaction at one time. Do you remember people outside, rioting and stuff? How did you respond to that?
Well, it happened to me in a really big way, actually. I come from UP and
Uttar Pradesh. I should let our viewers know.
Yes, Uttar Pradesh. And when I won Miss World, I went back for my homecoming to Bareilly because that was the last place that my parents were posted in. So I'd stayed a really long time over there. And I considered myself to be from there because I'd went to school there for a really long time. And so when I went back, there was this huge, protests and exhibition of, unpleasantness, I guess, that happened around me. And here is me at 18, really excited about the fact that, wow, I'm Miss World. I mean, I couldn't even comprehend that at that point. It probably didn't even hit me. And there were these people talking about exploitation of women and Nari Shoshan and this should not be allowed. And I remember, Mr. Amar Singh actually stood up for me over there at that point because I was really lost in this space. And I was like, wow, I really do feel that it is an achievement for the country. And I don't know from which part and which point of view you really think that it is bad in terms of our culture, because you're actually going out there and representing the country. And okay, if you're talking about swimwear or, watch Indian cinema, we are in a democratic country. There is freedom of speech and freedom of expressing yourself. So it was a really difficult time, but I guess you had to make yourself strong to combat it.
What about the issue of now being being a celebrity, being a famous actor? How do you react to the fact you're in the papers all the time, the speculation, the publicity, she's with this guy, she isn't, she's this and this? How do you handle it personally?
Well, initially it really bothered me. It bothered me more because it bothered my family. I mean, I think somewhere the media forgets that, even we are somebody's daughters and somebody's sisters and somebody's granddaughters. But I guess it's a part and parcel of the job that we do. It is a professional hazard, I guess. And over the years, I've kind of understood how to maybe not combat it, but maybe walk along with it and, take it in my stride. I don't know how you can, but I guess just ignore it to a certain extent. And it still does affect you, I guess, to a certain extent, because there are just random stories which come up which do not have any remote possibility of truths as well. But I guess you just have to laugh it off. As long as it doesn't affect my family, I'm cool.
Is it a career path you'd recommend for your own daughters if you had daughters old enough to do it?
Yes, I would. I think if my daughter was headstrong enough, and if my daughter knew that any career would be recommended, I think, by me, if any girl can choose to do anything in the world. This is what my mom told me, and I lived my life by it. Any girl can do anything she chooses to do as long as she knows her boundaries, her values, and her traditions. And you hold on to that, and nobody can transgress what you want to be. Nobody.
In the kind of industry you're in, what temptations are there? What boundaries are there people want you to cross?
Well, not that people would want us to cross, but if you hold your head strong and you know that this is okay, people have this vision of the big bad world of Bollywood, and there are people out there, especially for girls, because we come from a country where our parents are conservative and they always want to protect you. And I think parents are always afraid that there'll be somebody to get a little piece of their daughter, and maybe they're naive enough to think that with stars in your eyes, you just wanted a film for anything, and maybe compromising, maybe anything. When naivety, I think, kind of strikes, you don't understand the gravity of where you are. It's very difficult to accept and live with the fame and adulation you get with this industry. And I think that can make you lose your mind a little bit. And that's what I'm talking about. If you're headstrong enough and you hold on to your roots and you can keep your head on your shoulders, you can do anything in the world.
Obviously, Miss World and the Miss India that came after it were defining moments for you.
For sure.
What else in your life stands out as a defining moment?
In terms of my career, I think a couple of films do. It's just been about 4-5 years that I've been in the movies, but I've had a couple of films which have been definite defining moments. Mujhse Shaadi Karogi being one, and that's my first film, which happened to do really well, and then Etraz, for sure, which was the first time I played a very negative character, and I got a lot of critical acclaim for it.
You had a little toing and froing with the director on how to treat that role as well, didn't you?
Well, I was very, like I said, I was really young, and I've never been to film school, and I've never trained as an actor, and I mean, everything I've done has been trial and error. I've learned on the job. I made my mistakes, and that's only because, I mean, young and no experience, and you're learning every single day when you walk onto set. So I was really nervous about playing that character because it was a very sexually aggressive character, and I did not want to play her cheap. I was very sure that, you can do a lot more with body language and your eyes rather than, making somebody squirm in their seats when they're watching this character. And my directors thankfully agreed, and their vision was the same. So I think Sonia's character in that film was relatively, quite dignified for the character that it was written as.
What about mentors? Who in your life have mentored you, whether professionally or personally?
I think personally it has definitely been my parents. They've stirred me. They gave up their careers as doctors when I was very, very young. I mean, no knowing whether I would be an actor, whether I would even be Miss World, or what would happen after that. But my parents were really sure that at 17, 18, they would not let me be alone. And I'm so grateful for that today, because I would have really lost my head to, I think, anybody would, to the fame and adulation that you do get at such a young age. And I'm really grateful for that. Professionally, I've never really had a mentor. I've never really had somebody who has told me what to do, which film to do. I've always relied on my instincts, and I think they've pulled me through so far.
Do you feel that that you can actually more or less pick or choose now? Have you got to that stage?
Yes, I got to that stage about 2 years ago, and I was really grateful for that. I've always tried to do films with on my own terms. I've always tried to pick films which I would feel 100% doing, whether it was at the beginning of my career or now. I've never liked to be told to be a certain way, because I was never brought up that way.
I often ask actors when I interview them, do you feel you have to live the emotion and go through sort of turbulence in your life to truly be able to portray some of that on the screen?
Well, it's really famous, but Sir Laurence Olivier once said, try being an actor. And I think being an actor, the greatest magic and the greatest thing about being an actor, I think, is to be able to act and do that convincingly.
What about hobbies? Do you ever get time for yourself? Because obviously you're almost public property when you're a star. So
well, I work almost 20 hours a day. I love my job. I love it with a passion. Yes, I do wish sometimes maybe one day I would be able to sleep 11 hours or like 8 hours. 8 hours is good. I don't mind 8 hours. But it doesn't happen. But it's a small price to pay for the fact that I'm doing something that I absolutely adore. And very few people get to do that.
And does Hollywood have any appeal for you?
Well, I think all kinds of cinema has an appeal for me. I've never really constrained myself to a certain language. I can speak English, I can speak Hindi, and I can learn how to speak any other language if I have to. But I do feel that if I ever did a Hollywood film, it would have to be something that would excite me just as much, and I would have to take it as seriously as I do a Hindi film. So it would definitely have to be something which is just right.
How would you like to be remembered? What would be the legacy of Priyanka Chopra? You're young, so it's always a hard question. What would you like to be remembered as?
I would like to be remembered as an actor. I mean, it would be great to know she was pretty, she was well-spoken, but I would like to be known as an intelligent actor.
Who was always on time.
Who was always on time. Punctuality.
Priyanka Chopra, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Riz.
Thank you.
Thank you.